Welcome to the System to Success show. On this show, we'll cover the best growth advice from top CEOs in North America and beyond. On each episode, your host, Jay Crutchfield, he's a former software engineer turned entrepreneur, created and maintained online marketing, online sales, and fulfillment systems for global brands. He offers non-traditional wisdom about business systems mastery, while his guests share the story of how they built their companies. Jay and his guests talk entrepreneurship, digital marketing, strategy, and business principles. But they also talk about what it means to be human with all the ups and downs, advances, and setbacks. And what he does is he takes his information and strategies that has helped catapult global brands and brings that to the small business owner to give them that advantage. Make sure to subscribe and follow for more of these business system mastery principles.
To today's episode of the System to Success show. Today we're going to talk about, on this episode, storytelling in your marketing to attract clients. Now, we as human, we make choices emotionally, and then we back them up with logic. Should I share the story? All right. So I know many times my wife, she'll get very excited and she'll let me know. She's like, hey, I just bought something because it was on sale, 85%. And so, and so I look at her and I smile. I'm like, yes, dear. Because I already know what was taking place from a marketing perspective with what the business did. Many times they may have raised the price and then they mark it down so that people feel that they're getting a good deal. And so they justify it logically by saying, hey, I'm going to get all this savings. And shoot, I do it too. People love having a deal. They love feeling like they may have gotten over or gotten something fantastic, some fantastic value, right? And so in our businesses, people love stories, regardless if it's business or ever, and whatever it is, because there's storytelling in everything that we do that attracts us, right? I know we remember the stories, right, of the Cat in the Hat, Beauty and the Beast, Pinocchio, Aladdin. I mean, all these stories, what it draws us in. And so there's a framework to these stories, and I'm gonna just share a short, quick framework that you can actually use in your business. And we're going over a couple of examples are also too. And so these stories and this framework, it shows up in faith-based organizations, right? It shows up in politics. It shows up in movies. It shows up even in business when done right. Because I know you may remember going to classes where it was almost like the Charlie Brown feeling, where you heard blah, 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 because they weren't doing anything to relate. They were just spitting facts. And so that's not going to draw anyone in. That's going to be the fastest way to put people to sleep. And you don't want to do that in your business. So let's go over a couple examples and we'll talk about the framework that's used for this storytelling, right, to draw people in. All right, so let's go over an example faith-wise. And you can definitely apply this no matter what type of business you're in. We're going to start with a faith example. We'll go over a business one also too. So let's take Christianity, for example. All right. And so usually the framework of these stories are there's a main character. They have some type of challenge. Many times there's a villain in the story, right? And then the main character has a plan. They may be brought a plan by someone, and then we go over the consequences. If they fail, they get this unwanted result. If they succeed, they get this amazing result, right? Right. So looking at faith, looking at Christianity for that, just breaking that down. So the main character is God. What is the challenge God has? God has the challenge of mankind being separated from him, because of Adam disobeying God and eating the fruit, right? Who's the villain in the story? The villain is the devil. And what did he do? He tricked Eve, and Eve persuaded Adam to eat the fruit. Okay, so what's the plan? Now, the plan is Jesus coming to the earth to wipe mankind's slate clean, and through paying that ultimate price and rising again. Now, what happens if he fails? If Jesus fails, then mankind will be lost forever. If he succeeds, then mankind has a way to be reconnected back to God, which is called salvation, right? Boom. So it's used, you can see that framework even in Christianity and other faith-based, other faith organizations, right? Faith, people may say religions, but faith-based belief systems, right? Okay. And so let's go over an example for business now. Oh man, this commercial was hilarious to me. This is back in the early 2000s. And there was this cell phone company called Alltel. And I had an Alltel phone. I had a plan through Alltel. And so I remember this commercial. It was super hilarious to me. So just sharing some of this story with it. So there's this young lady, and she was in the side of a store, and she darts out the store, and there's this gentleman that's walking, and his name is Chad. And she goes up to Chad and she says, "Hey, aren't you the guy with Alltel?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she talks about it and tells, and said, "Hey, I'm having this problem right now. I'm making a lot of calls, and I want to switch providers, or change my plan to be able to make more calls without getting overage fees. But my cell phone provider only allows me to change plans if I extend my contract." And Chad walks her through. He says, "Hey, with Alltel, you can actually change your plan without extending your contract." And then they pull up in a suspicious van, and who pulls up? The villain, Verizon's Singular. Remember Singular back in the day? Rollover minutes. AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint, and all these guys are in polo shirts. And they they are moving so fast in the van driving that they actually hit and are dragging a dumpster. So picture that, a dumpster that's in front of this van that pulls up right in front of them. And they hop out the car, all five of them, and they have a dog, and they say, "Hey, are you thinking about leaving us?" And then they show her the dog. And it's like, "If you do, we're going to keep your dog." And then she looks up like, "That's not my dog." And then there's this big, bulky, muscular gentleman putting up flyers of a missing dog, and it's an exact match. And so they chase them off. And we know what happens next is she actually gets the plan with Alltel. And so just breaking that down, who's the main character? It's the young lady who is a customer of other cell phone providers, which is the Verizon, Singular, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, right? The challenge she's having, she's making lots of calls, and she's being bullied by her wireless provider to stay locked in. And the only way that she can make more calls is if she extends her contract, but she wants more flexibility, right? And so we saw those villains: Verizon, Singular, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, according to the commercial, right? According to the commercial. And so the plan is Chad from Alltel. He shares a way for her to be able to make more calls, not get all those overage fees, and be able to change her plan without extending her contract, right? And so what happens if she fails in this? Okay, her dog is kidnapped, and it turned out it's not her dog, but her rates will go up on her cell phone plan, on her bill, right? And then she has to extend her contract much longer than she wants to extend it. If she succeeds, she gets unlimited calls. She doesn't have to extend her contract, and she won't get those overage fees. So you see how that framework is even played out, even in commercials, is played out in even faith belief systems, is played out in politics. It's played out even in our best movies, right? And so think about that. How can you use that in your business? In our businesses, the main character is our potential client, and they're having some type of challenge. And that villain could be lack of clients. That villain could be that ice cream or sweets. If for someone that's looking to lose weight, right? That villain can be procrastination. It could be overthinking. It could be fear. Whatever challenge your business solves, that's the villain. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It can be something that stands in the way, the obstacle to what your client actually desires, your potential client actually desires. And so you come in with the plan to assist them. And if they don't move forward with your plan or solution, what can happen? Let's say for that person that's looking to actually get more are lacking leads. That means their leads would dry up and their business may potentially be closed, right? If they're not, if that person that's looking to lose that weight, they may gain that weight and not be able to move around the way that they want, to be able to play with their children and their grandchildren, right? And that's just a couple examples. But if they succeed, let's say that person succeeds, follows the plan, then they'll get an abundance of leads. And then using the law of averages, they'll be able to close a certain percentage of sales, which will allow their business to stay afloat, right? And then for that person that's looking to lose that weight, right? If they follow the plan, if they leave the ice cream alone and all this good sweets and some of these fast foods alone, what will happen, right? They'll be able to get into the shape they want, right? They'll be able to play with their children. They'll be able to play with their grandchildren without huffing and puffing, that type of thing. And so all of these things, they follow a story. And so our potential clients are the main character in that. You're not the main character. Business owner, you're not the main character. Nobody, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They care about themselves and the result that they want in their businesses. All right. And so if you actually want to study that video, want to check that out, I'll link to it in the show notes. You can go ahead and go to system2successshow.com, and I'll link to it in the show notes so you can see that video as well too. And so most of these commercials, when they're well played out, even stories in social media, stories in whatever the medium is, they use this framework or use a similar framework to this to really engage you, to move you, to make that main character relate to you so that you actually care about them actually getting the outcome that they're looking for. If they don't, you'll be bored. You won't care about it. You won't even care about the outcome of it, right? And so that's the same with our potential clients. If we don't put our story in this type of framework, or just spew out a whole bunch of logic, of stats, then they'll be bored. They may have to do too much thinking, and we want to make it as simple for them as possible to see what the result is for using our service and what the result would be if they don't use our service. All right. And so that's only if you offering something fantastic. And pretty sure if you listen to this, you are offering something fantastic. All right. All right then. So if you're looking to attract more of your clients, move them, touch them, inspire them to see the possibility of working with you, and the solution that you provide can get them a great outcome, man, make sure you follow this story format. All right. So go ahead and make sure you follow, subscribe for more business system mastery principles. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode.